At a gathering a few years ago, a man announced he was traveling to Pakistan for a specific mission to present the locals with undeniable proof of his religious beliefs. When asked to show this evidence, he opened his text and read his strongest verse. His listener pointed out that the verse described a belief, but didn't actually prove it true. He paused, turned the page, and read a second verse. It met the same result. The words explained his position, but they didn't establish the fact. After several attempts, he stood there in silence, disturbed that his airtight case had dissolved under simple questioning. But then he smiled. He pivoted, saying, "I see now. I don't have proof. I have faith in my heart." This pivot reveals a common friction in human debate. We often advertise possessing objective, universal evidence to bring others to our side. But when scrutinized, we retreat into the subjective. We fall back on a deep internal certainty that we cannot share. This reliance on internal feeling creates a barrier. When we fail to distinguish between our private sense of certainty and the external facts available to everyone, we lose the ability to verify our claims to anyone but ourselves. For information to function as proof, it must be transferable. It has to be an asset that can be physically or logically handed from one person to another. True evidence exists outside the individual. It's testable data that remains consistent even when handed to someone else. Personal conviction, however, is an internal state. Because it's a feeling, it stays locked inside the individual, unable to cross the interpersonal gap. The eating an orange analogy helps illustrate this limitation. When a person claims a divine voice spoke to them, or that they hold a sacred truth in their heart, they are essentially telling you they have tasted something extraordinary. But watching someone eat an orange only proves they are eating. You cannot taste their experience, and you cannot independently verify the flavor of what they've consumed. That experience is intensely real to the person having it, but for everyone else, it is invisible and untestable, making it a poor standard for determining universal truth. Relying exclusively on internal voices or feelings to define reality is a dangerous precedent. Many institutions encourage this. One method instructs followers to verify truth by asking for a burning in the soul, a subjective feeling of divine confirmation. We see the hazard of this logic in its most extreme forms. There are documented tragedies where individuals committed atrocities against their own families, claiming with total conviction that a voice in their head told them it was the will of God. While those cases are extreme, the underlying mechanism, the confirmation trap, affects rational people every day. This process begins with a desired belief. The mind curates its reality by surrounding itself with compatible evidence, like using the ocean's flat horizon to prove a flat Earth. This filter absorbs confirming data while repelling anything challenging the core belief. In this state, we aren't pursuing objective truth. We are simply engineering a customized echo chamber to protect our own certainty. The medical placebo effect demonstrates the power of belief to alter an internal state without changing any external facts. A sugar pill can alleviate psychosomatic pain, but only because the patient possesses a genuine, unforced trust in the doctor. The relief is real, but the pill remains sugar. This effect cannot be manufactured on command. A doctor cannot hand you a sugar pill, admit it is fake, and then expect you to believe it is medicine to make it work. You cannot force yourself to trust something you already know lacks substance. Requiring a person to believe the unbelievable asks the individual to manufacture their own certainty where evidence is missing. It is a demand for self-deception. A profound feeling or a beautiful story may explain why you hold a belief, but explanations are not proofs. They tell us how your internal world works, but they do not establish what is true in the external world. Reason provides the method for validating any claim. Whether the subject is politics, science, or religion, the claim must survive scrutiny that exists outside of our personal feelings. The rule is straightforward. Evidence must be capable of independent verification to be accepted as more than a private experience. If a belief cannot be handed to someone else and verified through their own reasoning, it remains a personal conviction, not a universal truth.